A little while back, I recorded a season preview show with Degenerate 75, James, our guy, Tambo, and Geoff Fienberg. And it's been in the can over at Chip It Nation for about a week now. And now I want to release it to everyone because I love this show. It is probably not like most of the season preview shows for golf that you have ever seen in terms of the topics that we talk about. But I had a tremendous amount of time doing this show, re-listening to it, and I think you're going to do that as well. I do want to give you a reminder that if you're watching this before the start of the Sony Open in 2025, you can still potentially get in the race for the Mayo Cup, one-and-done contest, $1 million prize pool guaranteed, and $100,000 to first prize. Now, all the seats might be gone by the time that you're watching this. I think as I'm recording this, there's like 470 left. That could be gone in like 2 hours' time. I don't know. But either way, fantasygolfchampionships.com is where you can get in on that. You just hit the description right now, find the link, and boom, you can see if there are any available entries left that you can get into that contest and play along with us for the entire season. Other than that, code Mayo at Underdog right now gets you a deposit bonus of $1,000, and it always helps us out in producing more content and bringing in content from other places that we appear on, like this one. Smash the like, sub to the channel, and we are off.
Entering the Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
I cannot believe 2025 is already here, which means PGA is here. And you know what? I need to do a little season preview. Yes, I know that the first event, the Century Tournament of Champions, is already locked. But you know what? Now that we got that going, let's take a deep look into the 2025 season. But let's do it in a way that not everybody does. Let's not just focus on who's going to have a breakout year, and let's get into the weeds and talk about some fun shit, like, you know, who are the biggest assholes on tour, who drives us the most nuts. And let me go ahead and tell you, I brought in an all-star cast to go ahead and do it with me. First of all, we have Pat Mayo, just the legend of PGA DFS. Him and Geoff Fienberg, who you need to be following because they have the best betting show in all of PGA every Monday on Pat's network, Mayo Media Network. You also need to know about Pat that he's got a great one-and-done going. It's going to be over $1 million this year, so make sure to check out Pat's content, getting his one-and-done. And don't forget that if you're playing Underdog this year, use his code MAYO, which if you can't spell Mayo, I don't know what the hell you're doing, to get in and get a discount over at Underdog, which they are doing all kinds of great stuff between the props and the best ball. I highly encourage you to get into it. Follow him at the PME on Twitter. Also, don't forget about my dude, Geoff Fienberg, one of the funniest dudes with the hottest takes in all of PGA. G Fienberg 17 on Twitter. Make sure to give him a follow. And lastly, my dude, my partner in crime, toe tagging Tambo on Twitter, Mr. Tyler Tambolini. Tamboline? Who knows how to say it? No one knows how to say it, but he is on. I want to thank all three of my guests. We had a great chat. I hope you enjoy this. I hope it gets you ready for PGA DFS, for PGA betting. Let's enjoy it. Let's have fun. Enjoy the show. I'm shutting up now. Enjoy it, you mother fathers. All right, it is PGA DFS season, and, well, first of all, if you don't know these three guys and you know me, what the hell are you doing with your life? All three of these guys have been instrumental to getting me into the PGA DFS game. Now, hopefully, they can get you into the PGA DFS game. We're going to talk a little season preview, but we're not going to do it that same fucking boring way that everybody always does with who do you think is going to win the majors? Who do you think is a young up-and-coming star? I want to talk about, like, actual shit that goes on in the PGA that's kind of fun to keep up with. Like, who are the assholes and who are the guys that we secretly cheer for and we secretly hate? And that's what this is going to be about. This is a primer to get you ready for the 2025 season. So I'm going to shut the fuck up. We're going to get going. Guys, I'm going to just go around the room real quick. I've got Tambo here. I've got Mayo here. I've got Geoff. How are we doing today, Pat?
Well, you shit on Geoff and I's preview show, so thanks.
I mean, they do get a little old. Everybody does that, but I try to be different. I apologize. Geoff, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year to everybody. Let's get it done in 25.
When you guys said you've done that betting show for 11 years, it made me check my calendar. I was like, holy shit, I've been watching this for 10 years. Like, it's crazy to think that I've been in the PGA DFS streets because of you two guys for a decade of my life. Insane. And Tambo, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Yeah, excited for golf to be back. I know football's still going on and winding down, but when golf is back, it's like the other baby over there, the other kid you got to look after. So I'm excited for this one. Happy to break it down and be here with these guys as well.
All right, we're going to just start with the one that drives me the most nuts because I have an answer ready to go if nobody's ready. Who annoys you the most on the PGA Tour? Like, is there a player, rather than what they do or anything, that just fucking drives you nuts? Because I got two guys that drive me nuts, and I hope you guys don't steal my answer. Anybody want to? Cantlay? See, that's too easy. I knew it. Go ahead, Pat. What is it about Cantlay that drives you nuts?
It's his look. I don't like it. I don't like his face. I feel like the guy from Step Brothers. that just, anyway, I look at it, I have this visceral reaction to it. And the fact that it takes him 84 minutes to make a 3-foot putt and just get his feet going, stop, get his feet going, stop, get his feet going, stop. Now, most people have already tuned out while I've been doing that. Imagine watching that while you have money on someone in a tournament and Patrick Cantlay is on the screen. You're like, wow, if we're complaining about like shots that we see on TV all the time, like we want to see more shots. That's what we want as viewers. Patrick Cantlay is the one who cripples all of that due to his when he is on camera, it's 5 minutes with Patrick Cantlay, regardless of what's going on. He can't just step up and hit it. It's the most fucking annoying thing in the world.
Right. We got, and it's like they don't even understand that, like, you could just cut to his shot after he's hit it. We don't have to sit here and watch the prep for it. All right. You guys got one over there?
Who's yours?
Go ahead, Geoff.
But I'd say Cantlay better win this year, because if they're going to go to Bethpage with the world blade, like him as the narrative or the face of players getting paid, he better have the big year, although he's been great in the team events. Brian Harman. I can't stand him. I joke with Mayo all the time. If there's a player I could see never win again, it would be Brian Harman. One of the majors this year, they cut to a tortoise or a turtle while he was putting. It was incredible work in the truck. Props to them. But not only that, you take that long to putt, and you've got a kitchen table size putter head. Like, you could have dinner with your wife on that putter, a picnic on that putter. It's one thing, I don't know. So everything about it just drives me crazy. The fact that he was able to nab a major bothers me. It detracts from honestly being able to hate him, I guess, a bit, because he has that pinnacle achievement. But for me, it's Harman.
I'm glad to see you're not the only one that was just completely tilted by Harman winning a major, because that was my second guy too. He is not major good. Drives me nuts that he got there. Man. All right. Well, my two are already gone. Did you have one, Tambo?
I did. And none of them, it's funny. I started with Pats with Cantlay, but I actually liked the little hat drop he did on the boys at that event when he was sort of going off. And so I was like, I can't fully get to him. I get that the slow play stuff with him and Harman specifically, but this may fit better for when you get, or maybe it's a segue to the drama queen, but I've never really liked Kuchar. And I always stuck up for Kuchar. I didn't stick up for him, but when the Caddygate thing happened, I did say that a business deal is a business deal. The guy agreed to the contract. I get that side of it. I still felt that it was petty. But the thing that put me over the edge this year, the Wyndham, I'm coming back tomorrow to hit my ball, that is insanity. And then trying to say he talked to Grazerman, and he's like, oh, I talked to him, and I thought it would be better for him with a chance to win. And Grazerman was like, nah, he didn't say shit to me. I was 40 feet across the field. This guy didn't mention me at all. I never get him right in DFS. I don't like his face, like Mayo said about Cantlay. And he seems very fake. Some people say he's the nicest guy and they love Cooch and all this shit. Everyone else says it's completely fake. He's an asshole. I don't know which side it is, but I'm leaning that way. So he bothers me. The Wyndham thing really bothered me. That was annoying.
Might need to add most punchable face to the list to end on.
Yeah, I wish.
Go ahead. Who has the most punchable face?
Listen, it's just personal. And people say he kind of looks like Cooch in the golf sense, but I see Brandon Staley's face when I look at Ben Griffin. That's what I see. So every time I see this guy on TV, I want to knock him.
Yeah, I mean, the most punchable face in the golf world is probably mine. If we're including creators to go along with it. I mean, many people have said that, and many fists have hit this face. So I think that the actual practical application of that theory has really panned itself out over the years. But yeah, I mean, there's something weird about it's Cantlay for me. And it's that, I can't stand him. I find him annoying, but I'm glad that he's there in a weird way, because we lost all of that type of guy to Live. Like, he is the perfect Live guy. And then somehow he became the head of the PGA Tour. Maybe that was part of the deal, but we need more villains. Cantlay is a villain. And I do like that about him, because I actively like rooting against him. I would guess that everyone's stock answer to this 2 years ago would have been Patrick Reed. Now, Geoff and I love Patrick Reed, but mainly because he's like how he is.
Yeah, I mean, that is the biggest problem with Live to me. It's not how many good players they took. It was that they took all the good drama players, right? They took all the guys that like to stir the pot and were making the PGA fun. So, you know what? I'm just going to use that as a good segue. Biggest drama queen on the tour. I think it used to probably be, I don't know. Geoff, go ahead.
I got one. It's easy. And I don't even know if I think he's a phony. Wyndham Clark. The stuff at the President's Cup with the, chirping those guys. And then he made a comment about playing the amount of rounds at the majors, right? He took a shot at the live guys. Like they don't even know how to play 72 holes. And then he went on to miss the cut. For me, it's Wyndham Clark. I think Wyndham Clark is a try-hard drama queen.
He's had some drama around like cheating too, right? Where people are like he lifted the club up and down to get a spot at one of the majors. There was another major like, okay, now this is just repeating itself. You can't say if you didn't think it last time, now you should think it this time. I'm never the best. Usually Pat remembers like dates and events when we're on shows together, and I forget all those. Week to week guy over here, but I will say that was the one that stood out to me as well for that point of bringing that up. I don't think he's necessarily a drama queen. He's often involved in the drama though, and poking it or pushing it for like, you won a major, amazing job, congrats. That's your job. It's what you want to go and do. Huge feat. But then like interjecting himself, almost like, I guess, what's your thought, Pat? But Brooks, when I know we're not talking about him, but when remember Brooks even said a line like, well, I had to get some wins first to be able to start talking shit. And then he felt like he earned this right to do this thing. Wyndham seems like he's a little bit too early to do that. A major is amazing and it counts, but it's like he just won a major and then became like a talking head.
I mean, he won a major in 2 signature events on top of it too.
Short period of time too, you're right. So that's probably why he got the mojo from.
Yeah, and then he hasn't been good since he made those comments. Okay. I think the answer is Rory. And I don't think it's his fault, but it's him.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
Just every central storyline on the PGA Tour just is Rory's orbit. Rory's a gagger. Rory needs to win. Rory's going to live. Rory said this. Rory said that. And it's probably because he's the most prominent figure. And it's funny that Rory hasn't won a major in X amount of years, and Scotty wins every single tournament, and Brooks can come in. But outside of Tiger, really, like the entire orbit of golf surrounds Rory. Good, bad, like he is. So, and it's weird that he's polarizing to people because he doesn't really do anything that would make you like hate him. But there are a lot of people who just outright hate Rory, which I don't quite understand because it seems like him trying to be a good guy and doing what is best and putting the tour's interest over his interest somehow made people hate him more. And I'm kind of here for it because the more storylines we can get, the better. But anytime he does anything, like remember when people were tracking Tiger's like yacht to see if he would play in an event? Yep. Rory is not quite at that level, but like, oh, Rory's here, and like the head of the PIF fund is here, and like maybe they're meeting about live. It's like no, they're just like that's not happening. It's just people want to create storylines around Rory, and just whether he's into it or he's not into it, that he is somehow the biggest drama queen.
Pat even forgot to mention, because I'm the guy that like reads page 6. But Rory, to no choosing of his own, there was the divorce. Obviously, that took a lot of traction. And then the Balionis rumors, which I don't believe he played any part in or were at any point true, but those were getting air. So he does it everything to Pat's point. I don't think he plays I don't think he's trying for most of it. Some of that stuff initially in live, obviously he inserted himself, but he felt that was his place and his mantle. And he got beaten up good for it. But a lot of his stuff, I think, he is just a whipping boy for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I was going to add is actually that exact point was a drama queen. I don't know. He gets put into it because he creates it's easier for them to make a storyline around him, especially with everything that's going on live. But a lot of that stuff, he didn't insert himself into or do anything wrong. Like the Balionis thing. What did he do? Like people just TMZ took a picture and show him like hug and whisper to him. And it's like, now he did that. Usually when he comes on and says something, it is to Pat's point earlier, like he's just trying to make a good point. But I also think that's, to Pat's mention, why he is polarizing, because he's willing to say whatever's on his mind. And he thinks, he goes with his route only, and then people get to flip it and come at him for it. So I definitely think that makes him involved in drama. I don't know if he's like the drama queen. James, did you have anything different or somebody else that you thought of?
Oh no, just here's my take on Rory for all time. He's just a loser piece of shit. So like that's been my take for like 10 years, and it's done me very, very well at DFS. Which is a perfect question a perfect transition, because the next question is, who is the guy that like you always lose the most money on, either betting or playing at DFS? And I would say the guy I've won the most money on is Rory, just fading that loser because everybody plays him. So I think we all have that guy that like we bet too much. Anybody want to like? I feel like this almost needs to be a counseling session where we like, we're here for each other. We have that guy we always bet and we always lose. Anybody want to start?
I will. I was going to say perfect segment because you said counseling session, and you've probably heard me mention it before, but I most certainly need an intervention. for Sunjay. Like, I've been on this guy forever. I've bet him. I've played him at majors. I've played him in DFS. I think on the cut sweats thing where it tells you the player you've lost the most money on, he's in that. He's, him going out of a tournament on an early withdraw, which cost me a bunch on the main slate, ended up helping me in Showdown because now I don't have to think about him or play him. And I know you asked, like, why can't you quit him or whatever? And it's funny. It actually goes back. I had to think about it today when I was prepping up. Web.com tour, the year that he won all the money. Like, he was winning all, it's not like it's a bunch of money, but for the Web.com tour, it was all the money. And he was winning everything. And then it was just like a few pros, like PGA Tour players that were like, yeah, his swing is just completely different. It looks different. It sounds different. It's this. And I just became sort of obsessed with playing this guy. I was like, man, he's good. He's young. He's an up and comer. He lost some weight and had to do some swing changes, I think. So that was kind of the lull, but I can't quit him. And even when you try and quit him, he'll get like a 3rd or a 17th or a 7th. And he's right in the mix again. And so you're right back on him. So for me, it's Sunjay, no doubt.
Yeah. We don't want Sunjay losing weight. We need that chubby swing. Just perfect. That's chubby South Korean swing.
It's funny because, like, we're all going to have different answers to this depending on the guys that we stick with over time. Like, I know how much money that Geoff has lost on Finau over the years, but I weirdly am up a bunch on Finau because the only time I ever bet him, he won a tournament, and it was fantastic, and I just never got sucked into it. But my guy right now, at least over the past, say, 18 months, I just lose on Sahith Theegala because he doesn't win every single week. And he's coming 4th, he's coming 5th, he's coming 3rd. But when you don't have that 1 next to your name, you just don't win. Now, for DFS, it's probably a little bit different. But for outright betting, that's my guy. That has just been a money pit for me.
Yep. Go ahead, Geoff. I'm right there with Theegala. He'd be my modern one.
Yeah, I mean, all time, it's a Fleetwood. Like, in small doses, I can get rid of him. But in totality, I just can't. And then he competes so much, almost like a Sunjay. So there's so many times where you believe it's right or you believe this is the moment, and it never happens. In any sort of form, he gets crushed. And because he's good on some big scales in terms of like cashing props or each ways, that he's probably squeezed already in books. All around good guy. People like to bet him. One of the biggest mistakes of my life, because he is an overachiever, right? We can agree. He's older. He sort of came on late. He's not like this super prospect who never got it done. And those are the guys who I also will probably lose money on. But for me to fall this hard for like an overachiever really upsets me. But it's just it's the truth. And sometimes when it's time to bet or not, I'm like, I'd rather lose this bit of money because how I'll feel if he's contending, will kill me. But then I get in modes where I'm not betting him and I just want to be happy for him. But it's just betting because I've been kicked off. I haven't been kicked off. Ontario, where I live, there's been no DFS for a couple years. So that's for me, it's a strictly betting based answer.
Saved you money on that guy.
You guys got to remember, I can't bet. So I got DFS. And mine, I'm going to just still Party Marty Laird. By the way, that's a pat nickname. I love that one. So this is the worst reason to lose so much money on a guy is back at, what was that, 2019, the one in Vegas, the Shriners. He wins in playoff, wins me a ton of money. So now I'm loyal to him forever. So anytime I'm filling out the bottom of my DFS player pool and I see a $6,100 Party Marty Laird, he's getting there. And the mother father always misses the cut. And I always say, well, I'm still up on him. But I bet if I went back and checked, I think I'm starting to lose money on that mother father because he has not been good to me in a while.
Yeah, I vividly remember that tournament because I had a big, I think it was 80-1 on Matthew Wolff, and Wolff should have won. And then Martin Laird made the shot from behind the tree, short-sided on 17 on that par 3. Geoff, when we played it this year in April at Summerlin, you just take a look at it, you're like, how the hell did he make this shot? It makes no sense.
And then a 40-foot putt in the tiebreaker afterwards from a guy who's not noted for being the greatest putter of all time. So, fuck you. I love you, Party.
That's you guys' memory coming out again. Like I said, Pat will remember vividly the exact shot. You remember it too. You guys are good.
That was a big one. Like, there's not very often you hit a 40-footer to win a GPP and the freaking overtime. You tell I've been watching too much football. All right, player with the biggest upside. Let's talk about a guy with upside that's never going to reach it. Just a dude who you can see he's going to be a Corvette or whatever nice. He's going to be a Maserati, but he's just never going to put it together and reach it. Who are we going with?
Neiman.
That was mine.
Everybody's going Neiman. No Will Zalatoris out there.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
close to
he gets
first, though.
yeah, he's broken back. Like, what am I supposed to say about the guy? Neiman, he just went to live before he like got the exemptions, so he's had to travel the world to get them and prove his worth. But yeah, once you go there that young, like maybe it's a low hanging fruit answer, but it was an easy one for me.
Yeah, speaking of Young, I actually think that's who it is. For me, it was going to be Cam, aka Scam Young. I remember the most recent one. Again, we've already seen the stuff. He's got super upside. He's been there in majors. He's had his opportunities going for it at the old course, right? Getting it down the stretch. He actually ended up beating Rory because Rory had to go for it and ended up coming in third there. But just the point being, Rocket Mortgage this year was the most insane situation I've ever seen there in Detroit. James, you were there with me. This man is in the tournament. You know how that course plays and the holes that you get down the stretch of opportunity. And he just decides on 14 or 15, whatever it was, 13 to 15, somewhere between those holes to just snap his driver. Like, what are you doing in the middle of a tournament, round 4, chance to get a W, and just does that? It was insanity. It cost a lot of people a lot of money down the stretch because he didn't have a driver anymore. But yeah, people have talked about it. You know, the stuff with didn't he take on, what's the caddy? He took on a new caddy. This is
Sorry.
Yes. And then he got rid of him right away. And then insiders and people that talk to him and know him were like, yeah, he basically said him and his dad are doing it this way. No interest in learning it my way. So we just agreed to part ways. So to me, it's just he's always going to have something going on. They did, though, say that about Bryson. The statement about Bryson was always like, he's either going to be this or he's going to be that. It's super opposite, right? Polarizing as it can get. Maybe that's the case for Cam Young, but so far from what I've seen,
but like Bryson seems like a good person. Cam Young just seems like a cranky mother. Like just like
I've never seen him smile.
Kick it with.
Right.
Yeah. He just looks like he's always walking around pouting. Like he gets on my nerve. He'd probably be third on that list of annoying players if we went back to the question earlier. Always just walking around, moping around like a little bitch. That's how I think of Cam Young.
And I have an anecdotal piece on that because I knew someone who like volunteered and was working in the men's locker room during the Canadian Open. It said like it was like Cam Young was just like I don't know whether the guy's having a bad day, a bad week. You don't know what's going on with the guy, but like he just like perpetually just in a bad mood. It seemed.
Yep. Pat, you got one?
Wouldn't you be in a bad mood too when everyone says you're going to win this week and then you never win?
Maybe don't snap your best club, the one that gets you the most work done on hole 13, you dumbass. That's what I'd say to him.
I mean, you lost to a guy with a yellow ball and a bucket hat this year, and that really bothered me.
All right, I think Jordan Spieth is going to be my answer. Is that a terrible take with the guy that's already got like 3 majors? I just thought that his career trajectory when I started watching was going to be like the next Tiger Woods, and I don't think he's ever going to get there. I don't think there's going to be a second evolution to his career, and I don't think that he's ever going to live up to the potential of what his game could have been. So like I guess my guy that I think will never reach will be Jordan Spieth, which I think is a hot take. Or maybe
I don't know. I think the game changed so much over the past 10 years, and it went away from everything that Spieth did well. And then he got hurt, and then he had to like just the emphasis on distance now and trying to chase distance all the time. He's actually done a pretty good job of doing that, but his putting was just unsustainable for so long, and he became too erratic that we're going to see this with Scotty too. Like people think that like, oh yeah, I mean, Scotty's going to be the number 1 player in the world for 10 straight years. It just doesn't work. Like, because Tiger did it, we all think that someone else is going to do it, but maybe we just take the huge outlier, the generational outlier, and throw him out and just look at how everything else went. Like Scott, I've always kind of comped this. Like Scotty ended up having a better year than VJ did. I think it was in 2005. But like people forget, like VJ had basically this Scotty season for 2 straight years. Mm-hmm. And then it's not that he went away. It's just he fell back to the pack. I think that just happens a lot, which is weird. As you said about Rory, Rory's been the only one who's really been able to sustain a high level of excellence over a long period of time. He just doesn't have the wins to go along with it. He has all the second place finishes.
He is good at those podium finishes, just not good at winning them.
Yeah, but I mean, to kind of go back to the point, maybe it's why he's polarizing or not, is that Rory's biggest drawback is that he's been too successful without being ultimately successful. If he just came T40 in these majors, no one would care.
Right.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. The thing that Tiger did, like you also see it with quarterbacks in the NFL, like Brady, and being able to play that good that long. And now we see the other guys try to do it. Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, and it's like, oh, in a different age, these guys would have been like retired by now. But the standard Brady set for that level of QB play and the money, but these guys like, no, like it's possible, and we have an expectation that it's possible as fans, but we're seeing that, we're holding everyone to the once in a generation standard.
Yes, exactly that. The NBA is going to find out in a hard way because I don't think there's another LeBron coming up anytime soon. People can make cases for whoever they want.
Ronnie's coming up, man. Guy with the biggest balls on tour. Like, I actually got a guy that I'm going to just lead with here because I haven't got to lead. Max Grazerman. If you guys haven't kept up with this guy don't give a shit. Like, I really appreciate it for a guy that's fighting to get his card and keep it and move up on the tour. I will never forget that shot. Pat probably remembers the tournament he's at, but he's in the trees over there on a par 5 on the 18th hole, and he freaking hits a 3-wood out of the trees. Just a ridiculous shot to even hit. Water to the right, and he puts it on the green, 2 putts for a birdie. That ever since then, I'm like, you never see that. Like, since Justin Rose back in his prime when he didn't give a shit because he was rich and he could just hit every shot he wanted to. So, do you remember that shot, Pat? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't. No.
Okay.
Oh, no, it was at the 3M.
Yeah, it was towards the end of this last season, and he just like it was unbelievable. I'm like, this guy has the biggest stones, like, the South Park thing where he's carrying his nuts around in the wheelbarrow. That's Max Grazerman for me. And to me, like, guys that'll just fire at pins and go for it and say fuck it is more of what we need on the PGA Tour. I think it makes it fun, and it definitely makes it fun for DFS and betting.
Like, Hunter Mahan was always that guy for me that I said it did not matter where a pin was located. He was going to try to attack wherever the pin was. And it worked out a few times for him, but it would actively take him out of tournaments as well. I think that Bhatia is that guy now.
Yeah.
Him or Siwoo. Like, they just, when they go nuclear, they're just like, I'm going to try to hit it to a foot every single time. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't for them.
I get that vibe from Hatton as well. But I would say I think 4-round stroke play discourages that. And that's why the team events, win a hole, down a hole, guys in tight, match play, that is where these guys try the craziest stuff. That is where we see the most incredible stuff. 40th place pays way too good. Making a cut is way too important to try to pull off the shots that I think as golf fans would make the sport exponentially more entertaining. Now, there's obviously guys that are on heaters and that are sticking it, but I think as a whole in the field, as a group, I think they're just surviving. It's making it as least damage as possible. They don't take on the shots we want them to.
Yeah, they got an entire crew they got to take care of. So, like, keeping that card is super important, not only for them but for their entire crew of people that are depending on them financially. So, I guess I get why more people don't do it.
Yeah, Pat's on here, so it is what it is. But he mentioned him. It's definitely Siwoo. The guy, like, speaking of team events, putting them to bed with Steph Curry, go to sleep, and then losing the match, like, he does not give a shit. And then go back to his wins at not only his biggest win, the Players, but also Amex. I'm remembering some stuff for this one. Driver off the deck with like 4 holes to play, 5 holes to play, with the biggest tournaments on the line for him for a win on the line. He just doesn't care. He always goes for it. I love that about him, and I think you just put it all together. It's got to be Siwoo Kim.
Yeah, Siwoo's got a whole lot of don't give a shit in him. I just wish there were more players like that, but I guess I get it now. I guess Geoff has talked some sense into me. All right, overrated. All right, let's switch to DFS for a minute. A lot of people watching this will be DFS people. Who in this community, like, the DFS community, like a player that is overvalued, that like people play and hold up above everybody else, and they're just not as good as they should be. I could probably list 10 players here as a guy that does ownership every week. I'm like, why the fuck are y'all playing this guy? But do you guys got any takes on who the community overvalues, betting or DFS wise?
Victor.
Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, why? Why are people, and I like, especially if you didn't see, Victor literally is breaking up with his swing coach again. So he's going to be tinkering, and he's probably going to have another 3 months where he's a shithead tinkering with his swing. Why do people value this guy when he's doing all this silly stuff, Pat?
Because I think you see the potential. I mean, he won the FedEx Cup and he won Memorial. It's like, all right, here we go. Now he's going to elevate his game and contend. But he's always like one of the 8 highest owned guys. He's always one of the 8 highest price guys, especially in majors and big tournaments. And he just never wins those. So you're just losing money. Cantley's kind of the same way. Like, Cantley's always top 5 in terms of pricing at majors. And like, does he have like 2 top 10s ever in majors?
I mean, do you think any of it's like Victor Hovland's just likable? Like, he just seems like a likable dude, and so people play him because he's likable.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a difference though. Like Finau and Fleetwood would be very interesting answers to this because they don't win, but they're never priced up to the point where they have to win. Like, it'd be nice if they did, and you took them at $8,300, but
Right.
their top 4 finish at $8,300, I don't consider to be a bad week. Like in DF on DraftKings, like that's great. Betting them, it sucks. But when you have these other guys who are just super highly priced all the time, like they have to win for you. Xander was kind of that guy for ages too.
Yep. Now Xander proven a winner and long term. I mean, now like what his odds for Sony are crazy. Just with a couple of draws, it's so weird to think of Xander as this crazy elite. Tambo, Geoff, you guys got anybody that you wanted to do for overvalued player in the community?
Mine quick was just because DFS you were talking was one of Jeff's guys who we talked about earlier. But I always say like the F in Fowler, which was an old one, Finau and Fleetwood stands for fraud, and they're great. They've got some wins and they get the job done, but overall it's usually just like a safety play in DFS or whatever. And like, oh, nice, you got me 75 points. It's a good play. It's not a great play.
Favorite player to watch meltdown. There's some guys that like, like they absolutely melt down. I think Terrell Hatton's going to probably be a popular answer here, but anybody got one that they love melting down that just warms their soul because either you don't like them or it's just funny as shit? Either one.
Spieth.
Yeah, when he starts talking to Greller and like he's giving these full speeches and it could never be his fault, and like just got that little clump of sand right there and that little gust of wind right there. I would have never thought, Mike, that would have done that.
Yeah, and see, I'm not rooting for him to melt down. It's just when he does melt down, it's very entertaining. For some people hate it. I thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah. And the best part is he's going to give you a full show like that. Like when Spieth melts down, you get the full Spieth meltdown. You can't beat that. Spieth has the best meltdowns for me. And he doesn't even snap his clubs or anything, but they're still great.
I think it's funny with him. Like one of the reasons that I don't know, obviously he got overrated and he won 3 majors. I mean, he has as many as Morikawa does. But like when you see the difference of why Spieth continues to persist to this day as still one of the biggest draws going, it's because of things like that. Like for a guy who seems pretty milquetoast as it is anyway, he does seem to be one of the few golfers who actually has an on-course personality. The rest of them just seem like robots now.
Don't disagree. I think that Spieth is actually one of the more authentic people out there who actually shows it. And like, that's why when he's been struggling for these past few years, I almost sympathize with him simply just because like it seems so real watching him through his struggles. But at the same time, it's funny as shit watching him talk to Michael Greller and try to explain everything that's going on. I'm like, I don't think that's it. I think you're just a little broken today, Spieth.
He still has an audience. I think the ratings show when he is those rare times where he is involved, like people do make an effort to watch him. He is that much equity from those like 2.5 summers.
Bigger pull than Rory, in your opinion?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's running to the TV because Rory's contending. Like people who watch golf like golf's on, they know where to find it. But I don't think anyone is out doing something they're enjoying and being like Rory's about to tee off.
Yeah,
I like Rory, but I believe what I just said.
Yeah, I think that like if you like objectively, if you had what's like a random tournament that Rory doesn't play random tournaments and Spieth does, which is always nice for trying to boost the ratings. But if you sent them both to the Valspar, for example, and you had Rory in contention against Peter Malnati and Cam Young or whoever like from last year, but you inject Rory into that, the ratings go up in my mind, yes. But if you take Rory out of that and put Spieth into that, it feels like the ratings double.
Yeah, I agree. Tambo, you got anybody? Because I got one that I'm going to come back to. I'm going to circle back for.
The TGL, presented by SoFi, is golf's newest league. It's all indoors in an arena with high-tech meeting. High stakes meets prime time on ESPN. It's the 3-on-3 match play golf league that takes the competition of pro golf and places it inside the arena atmosphere. 6 teams featuring the PGA Tour's best players go head-to-head every single week. And we're talking players that get mic'd up, shot clocks, refs, never-before-seen holes, a moving green, the playoffs, the lights, the camera, all of the action all goes down. The first-of-its-kind arena golf league in Florida. And yes, you can bet on the TGL, which is the greatest part about this entire thing. You can stream it live on ESPN. So, what you need to do is tune in Mondays and Tuesdays on ESPN in January, find out the right odds, get a feel for how this is going to work, and go win some money. Remember, it's only on ESPN and ESPN+. This is TGL presented by SoFi. Keep up is golf.
I'll just say quick, but mine was, I had the caveat with Hatton on there, obviously hilarious to watch, like pointing the putter like a gun, just doing insane things. But I will say, to Pat's original point, it's they literally, it seems like they try and cut away from people being real people. on the golf course. And that's really what we want. It doesn't have to be just Spieth, but his example was great. But anybody that will give me the real person of who they are and talking through things and going through that, I don't want the on-course interview when he's walking from hole 14 up the fairway. Like, I don't care as much about that. I'll take any fly-on-the-wall stuff because I'm a huge fan. But when we get to see the realness of what people always say, I forget what it was on recently, but someone said this. It was a Tiger quote from way back in the days. The reason why people like golf so much is because they know that feeling of standing in front of water and having to hit a shot over it. They don't know what it's like hitting water over on this course for this major event, but they know that feeling of like, holy shit, this is scary. That's what we want more of. We know the feeling of if you do something wrong or shank a ball, how annoying or pissed off you get. Let us see it. Remember the time Harold Varner shanked it off the tee and they wouldn't even show us the whole tournament? It's like he's in contention. We have no clue what just happened until we read the app and you hit it from us. Like, show us what's going on of people being real people. It happens. It's golf. We want to see that too. So anything that we can get, I would take.
I've seen at least 2 rounds where Siwoo Kim has finished his round with a 3-wood putting. Siwoo is a guy that does not mind snapping his putter in half, and I love it when he does because we've already talked about he don't give a shit and he's going to fire at pins, and then when he's not hitting, he's going to blame it on the putter or something, snap that, finish his round. I mean, I just love Siwoo. He just seems like if I could have a beer with anybody on tour, it'd probably be Siwoo, assuming he speaks English so we could communicate.
Oh, he does.
He does.
He was putting with a 5-wood at the Masters like 2 years ago.
That's what I'm here for.
So
Geoff, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
They're so bad at this, the PGA Tour. They've gotten a little bit better. But the old adage was that they felt they were protecting the players, that showing them at their worst moments or their freakouts was protecting them. In this modern social media age, it actually helps build them. And we saw this in some ways where Keith Mitchell had a freakout a few years ago on like a tee box and they hid it from us. But now on like a Friday happy hour with Smiley, they like show the highlight of it. And now when guys beat the shit out of the tee, they do give it to us. In the past, I feel like the players as a whole almost asked the tour to protect them from being shown in a bad light, where now I think they're realizing like good or like people like it. Nope. Like, you're Matt Wallace, you want to lose your shit on the tee box? Like, it will gain you as many fans as it will lose you. In some ways, and they're slowly learning. For me, it's the new whipping boy. It's Zach Johnson, right? Like whether it's fans or whether it's an incident, he's the guy you almost want to see get in the crossfires of something these days.
Didn't he take his putter and smash it into the green and like leave a big divot at a tournament? Or am I making that up? It's like, wow, that's how we're acting at the tournament. Like, yeah.
Well, he had a tough couple months because the waste management stuff, the don't sir me, and then he had a huge number at the Masters and he flipped off the gallery. So there's a couple things, and I don't know, and he's still getting bullied about the Ryder Cup, I guess, in some spots. So yeah, he's the guy I like to see get in the crosshairs these days.
Yeah, when I first started playing DFS, Zach Johnson was like a real dude. I remember he was in my very first lineup at the British Open in 2015, which I believe he won.
Yes.
And then now to just watch him be like a caricature of himself, it's so weird how the times have changed. Fuck Zach Johnson.
Do you know how old Zach Johnson is?
I guess 42, 42,
48.
What?
Oh, so 2 years till champions.
Wow, he'll kill it.
He's part of the.
He'll kill it.
Like, there's a whole wave of these guys coming in now, like with the Tiger wave. It's like Tiger, Zach Johnson. I think Kuchar is up there in age now too. Like that whole group is getting up to the Champions Tour.
I mean, if I start watching Champions Tour, that would be a weird moment in my life.
Hey, I'd watch it if Tiger played.
Yeah, that's true. That'd be literally the only thing that could draw me to it. It would be nice to get some action in on it too. My shitty state needs to have sports betting. All right. Guy most likely to hunt everybody down on a Sunday, like a guy that who's that guy that like if he's 5 or 6 strokes back and you got a ticket on him, you're not too worried that he's going to make a real run at it. Geoff, you got one for us?
I'll let someone else go.
All right,
first.
I think he's saving a good one.
So this guy hasn't won in a couple of years, so maybe it doesn't apply to him. But Justin Thomas is the answer. Like
he's done it at
JT
majors,
6
like
back, you're like,
PGAs.
man, he could shoot like 61 today.
He's done it. I mean, he's done it at the PGA at least once, if not twice, with the big Sunday rally. So, like, he's one of those guys that definitely, never mind on a whole Sunday run, which is crazy.
Rahm is
he
the other
never
one.
puts 4 rounds together.
Rahm is the other one that he can't be Like you see him down. I mean, Scotty's kind of that guy now too.
Yeah.
You see him anywhere. Like, oh, there's 10 names on the leaderboard and he's number 9. It's like, oh fuck, he's coming for my bet.
Yeah.
How much
I was
do
gonna
you
say
think Scotty's name on the leaderboard scares those other guys? Like, do you think it literally has like a mental effect on their game? Or you
I
think that
think
they're
it's
above
real.
that as professionals?
And when you
I
look
don't
at
think he's quite in that Tiger realm.
no,
Like, I
but
think
something
Tiger was-
happened because there was like Scotty won this year, so this is gonna sound so dumb. But if you go like watch some of those Sundays and those final holes, Pat, you mentioned it, like the easy par 5s, everyone else is like giving up as Scotty is coming to hunt them. Like everyone just, I don't know, forgot how to win, even other winners when this guy was around. And I guess that's saying like Brady got lucky. Like, no, it sounds like dumb, like repeating it back as it's coming out of my mouth. But in the individual, like micro moments of those tournaments, it felt like everyone was wilting to him.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, actually, and only because it did feel like something changed slightly. I'm not going to give him Tiger scares, that type of realm, and most people would say they're not scared of him, like Steven Yeager took him down, so who cares? But my point being, to what you said, it did just feel like that was the case, and I'll never have a ticket on him because I don't bet a guy at 3-4 to 1 or whatever, but he's definitely scary, to Pat's point, when he's there in like 9th on the board, and you're like, damn, but you still got to think about Scotty. That is a true factor. It definitely used to be Rahm, to your point, and I like the JT call now, but I would say like Rahm was definitely the one that would be a bit scary, come out and shoot a 62, 63, something like that early in the morning, and you're kind of worried that that's going to be enough. And so, yeah, I would say it's probably those guys, but for now, it's got to be Scotty regardless.
For me, it's probably, I used him a bit earlier for something, but Hatton would be right near the top of that list too. So when he catches a taste, like I feel like he goes berserk.
I'm
But he
seeing
also shoots 6 over and finishes T78 a lot too.
Yeah, but so does everyone you're gonna name. Like that's
I agree.
You gotta have it in ya. You gotta have it in ya
Like
to go get it.
Woo's kind of in that mix too,
Yeah.
that he can just kind of storm the leaderboards. Like, oh shit, he shot 64.
I would, to like flip this on its head, the guy who I love to see 4-5 up when I've got like the chasing pack, it's Shane Lowry.
Yeah, or Keith Mitchell.
Keith Mitchell, that
he might be for the most punchable face earlier.
Yeah, with that visor, that he wins my award for most punchable face. I'm glad I got out of Detroit without being arrested for punching that guy in the face.
Oh, I remember that.
Scorpion.
In this
God,
moment, he
he's
just
so-
stood there. What was the other thing I was just going to say? You said somebody else that made me think of.
We're talking
Chase-
about Hatton.
You said
Hatton and
Siwoo.
Siwoo. Hatton and
Siwoo
Siwoo
for
were the
sure.
two that came up, and then they
Yeah, Siwoo for sure can hunt people down. And then
John Rahm or Scotty were the other two that came up.
JT,
Maybe
Pat
Dunlap's one of those guys.
Dunlap's kind of got. I guess we'll go ahead and just go typical show here. Is Dunlap the young guy that's coming up that has the most? Because there's like 6 young guys that seem really good between like him and Clanton, and I mean I don't want to name them all. Theo Bjornsson, all those guys coming up
here. So prediction is like Ryder Cup, as people are saying. Like that's the ultimate prediction I keep hearing is people saying Nick Dunlap will be good enough to eventually make the Ryder Cup when it happens. But I'm just guessing that it stems off the Rookie of the Year and how good he's been. But I'm just saying there's definitely other guys. I was gonna say Hideki, though. It just reminded me.
Oh yeah, for
I'm-
sure.
I don't even know. Like Pat, you probably remember this better than me. But like, how has Hideki stormed back and just closed people out?
Riviera this year.
What's that?
Yeah,
Riviera, he
here.
went nuclear on Sunday to win the golf tournament.
When he goes off, he goes off. Like that's
he
the
did
guy.
that. He did that to all of our Russell Henley bets at Sony like 2 years ago too.
Yeah, great.
I mean,
great-
didn't he basically
great
do that
find.
at the Masters right after the rain delay? Just came out.
No, because he was up and then Xander fell back and then he kind of gagged it back to Xander. And then the moment that Xander sniffed being able to win, he put it in the water on 16.
Hideki's one of those guys, though, for sure. He's like,
I-
I'm worried about Hideki shooting a 61, like you mentioned on some of the guys earlier. Like that's a possibility that I'd be worried of.
I'm only worried about Hideki shooting the 61 is if I have the guy in the lead. If I have money on Hideki and he is back, he's going to shoot a 74.
Nothing to worry about. Yes, exactly.
All right, check with Pat, everybody, before you make your Hideki bets. All right.
Well, I mean, to answer your question with Dunlap, I think Akshay is the answer to this. I mean, he's only 22.
Yeah.
He's only 22.
Yeah.
Golly, he is.
I would,
good.
yeah, I would actually, if I had to take a side on who's more likely to make the Ryder Cup sooner, it'd be Akshay over Dunlap.
Yeah, Akshay seems like he's the young guy they need to get on the team and start getting his reps in.
Like,
Probably gonna be
I
on the
mean,
team
it's
a
funny.
lot.
Like we think of like Ludwig as like a super young guy. Like he's 25.
Yeah. He did the full, he didn't leave college that fast.
He's
Like,
old.
Dunlap is 21. I don't know how old Clanton is. Clanton looks young.
Yeah, he
How-
looks like I would guess 21.
How
Yeah,
old's
he's
Thorpe?
21 as well.
What about Blades coming out? What's his name? He's like, isn't he like 17 years old or something?
Oh shit! Don't forget about Shipley. That guy is so much better at golf than you would think he is. Like he does not look like he would be a world class golfer, but he's real good.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that's
Shipley
a-
looks like Harry Higgs' son.
Yeah, exactly. But
Listen.
but he's got game. So what do you do?
There is it goes against like the modern athlete and everything they need. But no one gets a leg up more than like the good fat golfer. Think about Beef, Barn Rat, you just mentioned Harry Higgs. Everyone, like you talk about relatable.
Sunjay.
Like, sure, yeah, he's got a bit of a paunch.
He's pretty chubby. He
Yeah,
got
he's more
skinny for the
chubby
wedding.
than he's more chubby than like,
He's
the,
part of the club. He's part of the club.
others.
I'm not
Lowry.
saying it. Yeah.
Lowry, yeah. So there's always they're rare these days. They're like an endangered species in pro sports.
But it's still the only like one major sport where you can be a fat guy and be competitive. So it is a true outlier.
It was
When we
like the
talk about
pitcher in
Trevor
baseball.
Pettit,
There used to be a lot of fat pitchers.
There's not anymore.
No more, yeah, none. There used to be a
No.
lot of them.
All right. Let's get out of here on this one. Controversial take for 2025. It could be something you think is going to happen. I don't really give a shit. Just something bold. And let's see if we can hit anything crazy this year. Anybody want to start?
Akshay becomes a top 10 player.
All right. Well, I don't even think that's that bold. What is he at right now? I would guess he's already top 25 in the world, isn't he?
Yeah, but I'm including like live guys and everyone. In this. Like he's a legitimate. Like when you look at the.
Does he win a
odds
major?
boards at
Does he win a major
he-
this year?
What's that?
Does he win a major this year?
I mean,
Akshay?
Jeff and I both bet him 100-1 to win the Masters. So let's go.
He has to win something pretty big to get top 10, I'd say, or be considered. So if you're actually putting him in the rankings, he's definitely going to get something.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no Scotty majors this year. And I think it's bold enough because he should win them all. But I just feel like there's still, I think there's Xander definitely is in the mix now. Like I don't care about his odds look crazy at the Century. Don't care. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I just think he did get the monkey off his back. So I'm worried about guys like him. If other guys get healthy, I think Oberg is looking to get one this year. He was in the mix last year a bunch and got a little bit more experience. So I think there's a lot of up and comers that and guys that are just their time comes around. And I think we'll see some of that variance. Scotty's going to be in the mix in all of them, but I'll just say maybe he doesn't get one. So that would be
more,
my take.
it's more because of the other people and not because of Scotty.
Right. I think he's still going to be in the mix. I just, for him to, the way it goes, to get 0 for 4, there's still odds there, but I think it would be considered a take because it's how does he not win a major? He's Scotty Scheffler right now and he's crushing.
So I just pulled up the odds to win a major for this year. Scotty's minus 118 to win a major. Do you know who the next 4 guys, like the highest odds on the list are?
I mean,
Xander, Rory.
Yeah.
Rory's number 2, Xander's number 4.
Oberg.
Oberg's 5. That was the one I was like, really? Like ahead of Bryson.
I mean, he competes at those things. I mean, second at the Masters last year in tough conditions, I think opened up a lot of people's eyes that he has that kind of majors type game.
I don't even play golf, so you don't I'm like obviously not. I don't even play at any level really. I'm saying, but like just to watch it, it was one of those things where you almost could feel it and see from a fan perspective of the experience factor just mattering, and it does in majors. We've seen it so many times. It takes forever for certain guys to get them. And where he's going to get him a lot faster. I know we just talked about he's 25 and joked that he's old in golf now. With I just looked it up. Blades Brown turning pro at 17 at the Amex coming up, like things like that. And Akshay, who you talked about, and all of it. But I just think he's going to be Ludwig. That is going to take that experience and just flip it around and as early as this year and get one done because he's good, very good.
Anybody else? Controversial take, Jeff. You got one you want to end on?
Oh, it's so much controversial or hot, but I believe golf continues to hit new lows in 25, and they will come to an agreement. My major pick or hot would be Terrell Hatton wins at Quail Hollow.
Wait, so are you saying that there's a chance that they're gonna actually get this worked out, live and PGA, and we're actually gonna have a functional tour again? Is that
by
something that's
the
brewing?
end of this year, I believe, but that is after new lows in terms of golf and viewership and no one really caring.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think they might come to some sort of agreement, but I don't think it's going to be they're all going to be on one tour. They will. I can see the elevated, like the signature events becoming some sort of like PGA Live, like that's where those guys play versus each other, and then you have both regular tours. I think that's stupid, but I think that's how it's going to work.
Yeah, sorry, that's sort of what I meant in that we will see the best get into things sort of like the elevated fields from the live guys.
All right. Any other takes? Tambo, you already gave yours, right? You good to
Yeah,
go?
I was going to say real quick, just a curiosity, because Pat kind of was hitting. I thought he was going to go all the way on it, but to the first take that Geoff had about the ratings, I don't want to make it all about that, but obviously it's been the talk of the town in NBA and streaming services versus this. I always say this for golf, but like it counts as ratings. But like my dad just throws it on the TV to have it on. He's literally not watching it, but it's there. To Jeff's point, like if the ratings just crater completely, that would speed things up, I believe, because we've already seen sponsors drop off tournaments. We've seen less sponsorship money in general, all of that sort of stuff. So what were you thinking, Pat, on the ratings side of his point?
I don't think it matters. To tell you the truth, ratings are down for everything that's not NFL. It's true. And you're getting and the moment like look how much baseball is back now that they had a high World Series rating. Like, is that really going to matter? No, because the Yankees aren't going to play the Dodgers every single year. It'd be like if we had the Masters this year, and then all of a sudden it was Rory versus Tiger versus Spieth. And like, oh my God, it was 4 times what it was last year. Golf is so back. Like, so much of it is so dependent that if you want to see who's actually watching and where the baseline is, look at the Golf Channel audience for like the Valspar or something like that. Like that's your baseline. Take the players, take the majors out of it, and you can get your baseline that way. And then you can kind of judge on where the actual fans of the tour are. I think there's enough to make it sustainable. And once they start leaning a bit more into gambling, social media, whatever it might be, if you can galvanize a few people that way, because I mean that's the biggest pushback with the NBA. Like, yeah, domestic ratings are down. Who cares? It's bigger in China now than ever. They're still getting all their money. I think their TV deal is going to be like asinine in 10 years when you take a look at how much they're paying for what the ratings are. But ratings for everything are down. And sports is less so than everything else. Like being able to draw an audience for 4 hours and have like 2 million people on a Sunday for some shit golf tournament is like still substantially way more than most of TV, especially for that length of time. That, you know, baseball is not going anywhere because it's a legit innings eater for television networks. Golf kind of works the same way for CBS and NBC. So yeah. I don't think that low ratings actually mean anything.
It is an absolute inning eater. And like Tampo's dad, there's a lot. They just know. They know that golf is on Saturday, Sunday afternoon, CBS, NBC. It's like a habitual thing. It's like putting on, like it's just there. And that is such an aid for golf. It helps them.
Okay, maybe you can answer this, Tambo, about the NBA stuff that like everyone's talking about. Well, like who cares what the ratings are? Like I get that. Like, is it because you want it to be more popular because you like it? I don't mean you, but like people in general, like if golf ratings are down, it's like, that's great. I wish golf was the most popular thing on the go. It'd be good for business for all of us. But if it's not, like, I'm not going to cry about it. Like, who cares? I like it.
That's why I liked your answer. Why I wanted to ask you, because you obviously know more about like the TVs, the network deals, how it all breaks out, and like in beyond what most know. So, you know, taking it back to NBA, I honestly think it's just one of those things where people just want to look for something to look for. Like now they want to talk because people want to angle it to be how they would change the game to make it so that viewership would go up. And I was like, I just don't think that's going to do it. That's what the consensus of the sharper people I see answering it seem to hit on in saying, look, you could change the game this way and get a 4-point line or do this, that, or the other. Is it really going to change ratings, though? Like you just said, I don't think anyone's tuning in beyond the first night to be like, whoa, a 4-point line. That's interesting. Other than that, who gives a shit? So I just think it's more for people to find something to talk about and complain about and then pin it each way versus in golf, the bigger picture is because of the live versus PGA thing where we started this conversation.
Well, the whole thing too is that basketball is a social media sport. Like I include myself into this. I consume more basketball analysis and talking point content than actually watch basketball. I watch very little actual basketball, but I like to follow the NBA because it's like a reality show. And I think that because they put in that like second apron and made trades a lot tougher to do this year, that usually that would be the whole crux of every NBA argument would be, oh yeah, like, you know, we can do this trade to this trade, but now those are like actually impossible, so you can't even theorize about them. That what's the next thing to talk about? Oh, we'll talk about ratings. But like people like the NBA as a product, as a drama. They don't actually like watching the NBA, and now you're seeing that reflected in the ratings.
Can I ask a different question? It's a quick answer one from everyone. Does TGL get to season 3?
No.
Is it gonna have a season 2?
I figured there's enough. Like Rory and Tiger are invested in it that there's like enough to maybe drag some bodies to season 2. That's why I asked about season 3.
They put a lot into it, so you're right. They probably get to season 2, but I'm not shitting on anybody for it. I think it's awesome innovation and stuff. Trying it, great. They showed some cool stuff around it with like actually hitting out of the sand and doing all this. I cannot fathom a world where people are signing up to go watch simulator golf on TV. It's just, that's me, but I won't be tuning in, and I just am honest about it. It's not for me.
Yeah, if you can't get people like us to watch, you're not going to have not going to be very successful.
Well, I told Kenny and Jeff on our season preview show or year in review show is that they need to make the audience like darts. Then I really would watch it.
Yeah.
You just need like a bunch of drunks who are yelling the entire time, like make gambling a big part of it. Like that's the audience you have to go for.
Isn't it on a college campus?
Yeah, get Pat McAfee out too. It'll be fine.
Yeah. If you did it like it's kind of what you're talking about is when you see in the movies, and I'm sure they actually exist, but when they go to like underground fights and everyone's gambling and drinking and the fights are happening in the ring and like they're all betting on it and taking it in. If you were doing that to the darts point that you mentioned as another reflection, that is for sure what would make something more exciting on any scale. But I don't see this and be like, oh, but they're going to be talking through the shots and showing. And I mentioned earlier, I like stuff like that. I like it when it's more genuine. I like it when it's the Masters on the line or a big tournament or something like that, that I can actually, sit in and feel that more than just something I'm not interested in to start with. That's all.
I do think that there is some cachet that it's only a 2-hour product and you have to get everything in for ESPN in that time that maybe we don't see as much, or maybe they have to be a bit quicker with everything and maybe that will help. But it all comes back to like, since I met Jeff and we were at Fantasy Sports Network, they were trying to make esports happen. And everyone has been sort of the sneaky thing within fantasy, within gambling, within networks. They've been trying to make esports happen on TV for like 10 years now. And no one wants to fucking watch it. They'd rather watch a Twitch streamer in the middle of the night from Korea for free on their phone play League of Legends than tune into like ESPN to watch it. It's just failed every single time. Regular sports fans don't want to gamble on it, and big esports fans don't gamble. So it's a bad mix that way. Yep. And I can kind of see that with the TGL in a weird way, where like it's the people that love golf don't want to watch simulator golf, and the people that actually like simulator golf, I don't think want to tune in to watch golf, would be my hesitation on it.
Yep. Agree 100%. All right, guys, I think that's it. The full hour. I appreciate all of you coming on. Tambo, Jeff, Pat, I would give away their Twitter handles, but you already know them. I appreciate you guys being on here. I appreciate the season in review, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Not like all the others just talking about who's going to win the majors. You want to know who's going to win the majors? Maybe we'll do another show when the Masters gets here. But I appreciate all your guys' time. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's have a great PGA DFS season. Don't forget to check out the other video I did about how not to lose your dick at PGA DFS and actually make this sport sustainable so, you can enjoy 6 to 8 months of it, bro. All right, that's it, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Mayo experience. Experience.